Let me tell you, if you told me that night would end with a barefoot kid in rags calling me mom, I'd have laughed in your face or maybe just toss you out of that fancy bistro on Magnolia Row. But that's exactly how it started tonight, so polished, so routine, it could almost fool me into believing I belonged there. Right at home with the glittering wine glasses, the low hum of money, the white linen tablecloths fluttering like sails in a soft breeze after rain. I was dressed for war emerald dress, diamonds that flashed every time I moved my hand, hairpin just so a picture of calm. But inside, I was 1,000 miles away, lost in boardroom battles, inheritance nightmares, the kind of loneliness only money can buy. You know what I mean? I'd inherited all of its steel empire, the headlines, the hollow house from my father, Edward Wells, God rest his cold, ambitious soul. And yeah, I built my walls higher than my heels and twice as sharp. I convinced myself there was nobody left to lose. That's usually when the universe laughs, isn't it? The first thing I saw was a shadow fall across my table. I looked up, expecting a waiter. Instead, there he was, this tiny, drenched black boy, barefoot, skin dark and shining with rain, hair matted, clothes hanging off him in strips, not a shred of fear in his eyes. He just stared at me, didn't say please, didn't even glance at my plate. He pointed and said, clear as a bell, "You're my mom." You ever hear a restaurant go dead silent? That's what happened. Forks paused midair, people craning their necks, waiting for a scene. Me? I froze. The glass slipped in my hand. "Excuse me." My voice came out lower than I meant. "I remember you," he said. "I was little when you left, but I know your voice." Let me back up a sec. My head started spinning fast. I scanned for a parent, some scam artist, maybe a hidden camera crew, anything to explain this. But he was alone, lips trembling but not backing down. "What's your name?" I managed. "Elias," he replied. He reached into this sad little cloth pouch and pulled out a photo, water-stained and creased, but God help me, it looked like me, but softer, younger, hair longer, no makeup, holding a baby in a park, laughing like I'd forgotten how. "Where'd you get that?" I asked. "My grandma gave it to me before she died," he whispered. Now my heart was pounding so hard I felt it in my throat. I asked how old he was. 7. The resemblance stared back at me from that photo, undeniable. I told myself it was impossible. But just in case, I called my driver and took the boy straight to the hospital media. No questions, just me, him, and a DNA kit. My mind screamed the whole way. This can't be real. I'd remember something like this, wouldn't I? The hospital was a tomb-white walls, humming lights, that cold smell of antiseptic and worry. They gave Elias a hoodie 3 sizes too big. I paced, barely breathing, for 2 days until Dr. Patel walked in, folder in hand, face unreadable. "We ran it twice," he said. My stomach clenched so tight I could barely open the envelope. 99.98% probability of maternity. It hit me like a train. No way. I'd never. But then Dr. Patel, bless him, said quietly, "Isadora, you had a twin, didn't you?" And just like that, my whole life cracked open. Mirabelle. The name tasted like regret. 10 years of silence since our last fight, me wanting the empire, her wanting out. She'd begged for peace, a little art studio, a family. I wanted power. I got it. And I lost her. We'd never spoken again. Now here was a little boy, her son, standing in front of me, looking for a mother who wasn't coming back. I knelt in front of him, hands shaking. "No, Elias," I said. "I'm not your mom. I'm your aunt." He didn't cry, just stared at the floor. "Where is she then?" I didn't know, and it gutted me. That night, with Elias curled up on my couch clutching that battered photo, hope flickering in his eyes, I sat there with the DNA report shaking in my hands, feeling every bit the fraud I swore I'd never become. I opened my laptop, typed her name over and over. Mirabelle Wells' last known address. Hours passed. At last I found Ida tiny obituary, 5 years old. No fanfare, no headlines, just a whisper. Mirabelle Clarendon, beloved wife and mother, gone too soon. I'd spent a decade waiting for an apology from her, too stubborn to reach out first. Now I'd never get the chance. The next morning, no driver, no press. I took Elias to the Costa small cemetery by the sea, wind howling through the wildflowers. The grave read, Mirabelle Clarendon gone too soon, forever in bloom. I dropped to my knees. The years came crashing down all at once. I was so angry, Mirabelle, I said, my voice breaking. You wanted peace. I wanted legacy. I thought I had time. I put that old photo on her grave, beside the fresh, wild daisy Elias brought. You raised a beautiful boy, I whispered. He thought you left, but he never stopped searching. Elias knelt beside me, touching the stone. I knew you didn't just leave, he said, voice barely above the wind. Back in the city, everyone still called me Madam Wells, the youngest tycoon, the ice queen, the one with everything. But something changed. Elias stayed. I gave him a room, warm food, books, tutors' answers. I made sure he knew. He wasn't abandoned. He was loved. I became his guardian, his guide, the person he could run to when the world felt too sharp. But I didn't stop there. I found Mirabelle's old sketches, the plans for the art foundation she'd never finished, and I opened it in her name, Elias, as co-founder, his eyes lighting up for the first time since I met him. One night, he padded into my office with a framed crayon drawing two women, identical, one holding a crown, one holding the sun, a little boy standing between them. That's you and my real mom, he said, grinning shyly, and me in the middle. I choked up. She gave you life, I told him, hugging him close, and now I'll help you live it. Elias smiled, hugging me tighter. You're not her, he said, but you feel like her. And right then, for the first time in my life, I let go of the crown and held on to something far more precious. Family. So, here's my question for you. What would you have done, standing in my shoes, with a past you can never fix and a future you can finally choose? Do you believe blood is everything, or is family what we make it out of all the broken pieces we pick up along the way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like and subscribe if this story moved you. And tell me, where in the world are you watching from? I want to hear your take, your story, the definition of home. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.